Well, I forgot to turn the light on.
This
That's
one?
okay. Yeah.
Do I need
Welcome
it?
to another episode of the Home Day Haven podcast. It's going to be a little bit different today because I just want to have a conversation with Jen. And we decided, hey, I'm just going to let the camera roll to capture just our normal conversation. Normally we have conversations in podcasts, but today there's no notes. I wanted to record our conversation.
Okay.
So I was walking earlier today.
Got it.
And walking to the mailbox.
Okay.
And I was just thinking, wow, I'm breathing. Walking makes me breathe hard. Talking about walking.
Talking about walking.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
No, anyway, I was just like, all the things that we're doing, all the things that we got going on, and like how we're managing to tackle all this. Because work is a beast on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many projects coming at me, one after the other, after the other, after the other. I'm trying to handle that. We are working on our Oak Haven company. We've got a planner coming out. We've got meetings and designs and legal stuff and all this stuff that we're trying to form. And then we got a surprise for $1,000 cost for our trademark. That was unexpected. And then we've got, on top of that, Adley has art club and Jaden has outdoor club. Mm-hmm. And it's just all these things that are going on. And so it's like, well, how are we managing that? And I felt like maybe you, the listener and the watcher, could benefit from that or also chime in.
Okay.
Because it's a lot going on. So how are we managing our schedule and how are we doing?
Yes. So I would say most people would describe themselves as super busy, right? That's just kind of
not talking about the podcast. You're just talking to me. So I don't want you talking like podcast because that's not how you would talk to me.
Okay.
And we got mics here.
Okay.
Just be you.
Okay. So would you have a question or what are we chatting about?
How are we doing as far as our goals and are we reaching them? And where are we in terms of everything that's going on? Because how are we managing our hectic life?
I mean, I think for me personally, there's definitely been strides towards the goals that I set at the beginning of the year because I wrote those down this year and I'm making smaller steps each month. So I have, stuff that we're focused on written down so I know how to spend my time. So I feel like we've definitely done a lot this year so far.
A whole lot.
We may not be where we want to be, but I feel like we've done a lot, right? And we've gotten a lot of accomplished. I feel like our calendar system is working, but we could probably fine tune that and add some more stuff to it. How we share what's going on Tuesdays, what's going on Thursdays, when the kids are staying late, when I'll be home late. I have my own personal electronic tracker of what I need to just get done for like house stuff and all that. And I was asking you, like, do you have anything to keep track of everything? Or is it like
I've always lived by always being in my head. And as I get mature in years, I want to make sure that I'm able to track that. And then now I've found that there is so much in my head and I am handling so much. As I said, with work, that's a beast of a job now. Mm-hmm. Church, that I'm handling all those responsibilities and things that I have to do. Mm-hmm. Being a son, being a father, Jaden wanted to run, and he's always done that. Adley's always first, and she got potty trained first, and then Jaden just decided one day,
he's got it.
I've got it. Mm-hmm. Didn't even potty train him. He was just like, I'm going to the toilet now. And so his scooter, the power, what was that thing called? The power car?
Yeah.
His tractor.
Power wheels.
And one day he just got in there and started driving. Mm-hmm. So Ursula's like, I'm ready to ride my bike. okay, that's kind of random. But, taking time out of my day to, not that it's a chore, but, I want to spend time.
Yeah, for sure.
They're 8 now. And so it's like, okay, but again, your additional responsibility. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, no. You bought me this pad, I think a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been scrap notes, but now it's like, it's a to-do pad. Mm-hmm. And so for this week, Monday and Tuesday, today's Wednesday, I've like written down the top things I've got to get done that day.
Yeah.
And so I'll check them off as I get them done. And so that's been extremely helpful because I've gotten everything done that day that needed to get done versus here's what I got to do today and then not getting stuff done.
Right.
So that's been helpful. I know it's old school, but for me, it's on my desk. I see it. I write it down first thing in the morning when I get to my office. And then it's
like, how are you determining what those things are?
Because I just know what has to get done. Like, today I needed to sign up for some courses. I needed to handle a bill.
But like, how do you know all that? Like, what if you had forgotten you needed to sign up for courses that wouldn't have gotten done today, right?
I guess not.
Right. So I feel like I've read a couple books so far this year that have to do with, I don't like to say time management because there's a whole other thing besides time management, but that relate to that stuff. And so you can't carry around all that stuff in your head.
Because it is stress. And I will admit I've carried stress and we just try to be worried and just try to be anxiety because you're just carrying all this stuff.
Yeah.
And, Jesus said, take my yoke upon me because my burden is easy and my burden is light. And so we were not designed to carry cares. We were not created to care.
Yeah.
We are, I believe, supposed to live carefree, but I have allowed the cares of this world to bombard my mind. And so that is something that I've had to really, really rein in and not allow, because that festers. If unchecked, I know that festers into sickness, unwellness.
Yeah, for sure.
Were you asking me?
Well, I was talking about because
there's a tool like, and maybe we've talked about Asana. Asana is, because at work, I feel like I guess people are watching, so I kind of have to like now start talking as a podcast, and I'm sorry because we are having a conversation, but you guys are listening and watching, and so I just want to say Asana, like, what's that? So Asana is a piece of software that's task management. We have it at work. And for me, that's a whole beast. But there's a way, like if I get an email, I can click Asana and it will turn that email into a to-do, an action. And so that's how I keep track of stuff, even at work, and I put stuff in myself. So we've talked about it. And maybe if like we get an email, I could put that in Asana and we can assign that of like, let's keep track of this. Or, somebody told me about I've got graduation coming up, and I put that in my calendar so I wouldn't forget that. But however we're managing everything, I feel like, because it's like all of a sudden our lives, at least my life, got full speed. And I know it's good training because as we grow our company, we'll be full speed. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just like, if you, all that stuff in your head, right, is you have like a huge mental load.
Oh, it's a very mental load.
So the first step, you have to get, like a lot of people recommend this. This is not like my idea, right? But you like take everything that you need to do or get done, and you have to like write it all out on a piece of paper. Like it's just like a messy brain dump, a lot of people call it, of like getting everything out of your head and then sorting that out before you can even move forward into putting it into some kind of system. But you have to have some kind of system to keep track of that stuff. So, right, you're not going to forget important things, and you're making time for what you deem to have priority. And then
because I want to take the kids fishing, and I know like, we need to do a camp out before it gets like 105
it's already 85
right? So we got to do that, and I forgot about that. And then it's like, well, weekends come up, and then I'm tasked
then we want to chill out because we've been so busy all week. So you have to get all that out of your head and then sort through it. And
once I get it out of my head, does that free my head?
It does, yes. A lot of people talk about like the open loop. So if you're thinking of something that isn't complete, that's just going to continuously cycle through your brain every once in a while. Oh yeah, I have to do that. Oh yeah, I have to do that. Oh yeah, I have to do this before I do that. Like it's constant, like go, go, go. Okay. And so you need to get that out before you can actually fully be focused on like one task at hand too. So to have some kind of system, which we do have a few systems in place. So we have like our shared calendar. Yeah. So we have like events in there or things that I'm like, you need to know this. So we have our shared calendar. I put a lot more things in my Google Calendar, I think, than you do. Or is it Apple Calendar? Whatever's on my phone.
Okay.
It's the Apple one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use that one just on my iPhone. So I have a lot of stuff in there. And then I have my own Trello board that I, like every single day, I have to look at that. And that's just simple stuff, making sure the laundry gets done every week, making sure like, I don't know what else. The grocery list gets ordered.
Once we get the kids and like they start, like they hit 11 or 12, like what are we going to, introduce them to? Because I don't want you on Trello and I'm in a sauna and they're, like I want us to be in some central hub.
Well, we'd all have to have a shared calendar for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know. They have to have Chromebooks for school, so.
Yeah.
I don't know what that lends itself to.
Google.
Well, like, do they have a task management system?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
But again, it's just, introducing them to good habits because I don't want them like not having task management. You've been very gracious and supportive. My whole life has changed. Is that the song?
Okay.
Anyway, so you've been very supportive in helping me walk through stuff, but because I was walking to the mailbox, I'm like, I probably take a note of what I want to talk to her about.
Okay.
Because it was waiting on me, but maybe this conversation is just stupid. But you didn't say no, it's not.
What else were you thinking about of walking to the mailbox? Just like basically
how everything that we're doing is, we got so much going on. We did make it to 100 episodes. This would be episode 101. And like, we stuck with something. Like, I would not have hit 100 episodes on my own. Mm-hmm. There's no way.
Okay.
So, like, I was thinking, like, I wouldn't have done this without you. And so people say that, like, oh, my spouse. But I'm like, no, I literally would not have done it. I wouldn't have been consistent. I would not have been motivated to do it. I would have wanted to.
Yeah.
But just even the requirements of editing the podcast is so much.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to let you down. And it's like, well, another one's coming up. So we've stuck with it for 2 years and that's been great.
Yeah. We made a commitment. And so like, even if I don't feel like doing it, we have to do it. Right. Even if you don't feel like doing it, we made the commitment to do it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, we've deemed that important enough that we switch our normal schedules around for those things.
Yeah.
So we could decide not to do this and we would be like taking a walk right now or something.
So I guess I will invite everyone in because I want to ignore the audience because you guys are listening and watching. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the Home Haven Podcast. Your home for faith-filled content, helps you communicate in your relationship. Welcome to our conversation that we've been having. But I don't want to ignore you guys because you are watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. It's important that you do have systems because, like you just said, what do you deem important? I guess the whole point of the conversation is there's so much going on. There's so much that we're dealing with in our lives.
Yeah.
And I think one of the main things is you have to focus on and write down or talk through what's most important to us in this season and this time and commit to that and then rank that out priority.
Yeah.
There will be a night I'm like, I just don't feel like it and I'm just not doing it. Or your body will shut you down and be like, guess what? You're not doing it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to get to that point where my body shuts me down.
Yeah.
And so, for us, the podcast has been important. We know the planner is most important. So therefore we've got to adjust some things because we've got to get these done and hit these milestones.
Yeah.
Versus, oh, well, one day it'd be nice and then we're eating pizza on Tuesday night watching television versus in our offices, like,
yeah, for sure,
hitting stuff down. So that's important for you if you're listening and watching. And like, how do I accomplish these things? How do I get to this point? How do I manage my everyday life when there's bills and students and teachers and soccer and cleats and did somebody get this and orders and DoorDash and all this other stuff and digital and text and emails and oh, by the way, ads and phone calls. And it's like, oh my goodness, I'm constantly bombarded. I'm in the middle of work and I got a text from a family member. They're wanting some help. And my dad calls and then my mom calls and then you text and we haven't gotten to work yet. And then I'm in a meeting, all the team is up and I'm in a meeting while all these messages are coming through. You're handling so very much. So it's also important that you do take a time to deplug and that you don't drift away from your partner. I think that's kind of the point of the conversation, is that my takeaway from you, if you're listening and watching, is that even in the midst of all of this that we've been handling, you know, my number one priority is you. And so I don't want us to drift apart. And so I'm asking, and correct me if I'm wrong, are you okay? What's going on? Can I help? How can we assist? Like, are you good? Because as we're going and pursuing and rushing, you know, Jesus told Mary, hey, one thing is needful. Yeah. And so let's make sure that we're eyeball to eyeball and we're not losing one another because we're chasing other.
Yeah. And I was going to say also, if you are doing a whole bunch of stuff on your own and I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff on my own, it's even easier, I feel like, for us to drift apart because we don't even like Oakhaven actually pulls us together because we're spending time together. We're talking. We're like,
well, that's how I believe God made it. And I heard this was a long time ago of like affairs happen at work between like, I guess the doctor and the nurse or the
receptionist, coworker. Yeah.
Because when they come together and you're working on projects, like you come closer, like God created that man and the woman, like to come together and do things together.
Yeah, to help each other. Yeah.
Help each other. Yeah. And it brings you into alignment.
Yeah.
It brings you together and you create a soul tie. And like, that's how it formulates. And so,
so I feel like that's helpful. Like, and I feel like we've done a really good job at making sure we get date nights in every month.
Date nights.
Making sure, you know, we have time. Maybe we don't call them date nights, but after the kids go to bed, like, hey, tonight we're just going to go chill out and hang out together. Because, again, knowing each other, what each other needs. Like, sometimes I just like to be in the same room with you. We don't have to be, like, having a super deep conversation always to connect. Like, there are some little things you can do throughout the day, throughout the week to make sure that connection stays strong. So I feel like we've done a good job with that. And just making sure we keep it up because those things are important, like you said. Otherwise.
Yeah. So I was just thinking about all the stuff that's going on.
So you have a lot in your head.
Had a lot in my head.
Need to get it out, figure out how to prioritize your time.
Yeah.
And actually.
I'm seeing it more than ever, like, because I've never been one who's been neat and tidy and orderly. I like things neat and tidy and orderly. I've worked in production, so you have to have systems in place. I think everywhere I've kind of been, processes, even being a creative director at church, you know, at one point, you know, I was responsible for everything. So everything on Sunday reported to me. So you have to have a process and all those things. So I've lived that way, but I've been able to really kind of manage it in my head. And I know like now I'm gotten to the place where that's just not possible.
Right. So you need to get it out of your head into a good system. And then I hear a lot too. You have to decide, we've said it before, but like you can't do everything.
Right. You just said the power of no.
Yeah.
And that's something I said no to somebody. Yeah. It was this popped up. Jaden wanted to ride his bike. And so we wanted to go ride his bike and it's like not turning. Yeah. And brakes not working. So I had to find a bike repair shop and there's a guy down the street. He's awesome. And he's like, well, can you come in today at 4:30? And being a people pleaser. And I'm like, yeah, I'll come. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Actually, let me say no.
Right.
Let me do this. Let me, instead of making it convenient for them, being like, oh, you know, whatever's convenient for you. Thanks so much. No. Actually, if I absolutely have to, and you tell me that, then I'll try to make an adjustment.
Yeah.
However, I've got to make dinner. We eat together as a family at 5.
Yeah.
And so let me do that. How about 5:30?
Yeah.
And he was like, yes.
And it actually worked out pretty well, right?
It worked out.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we'll overextend ourselves and we're reaching out for other people and making the sacrifice. And then we're exerting ourselves with all this energy and effort that actually we put ourselves into.
Right. Like that example, that wasn't a needed sacrifice.
I'll go by the store.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
No.
Guard your time.
Yeah.
Just like you guard your heart.
And I've learned to block out my calendar.
Yeah.
Because if not, there'll be an invite.
Exactly. Which I think is also really important. Instead of trying to do like your example of doing all these things at once is not good for you either, right? You're not supposed to be multitasking, doing all these things at once. Like you need to have.
I can't help that.
But you can.
I can't help.
Let's switch the mindset.
I can't help getting 4 notifications at once.
You can.
How?
You turn off your notifications.
Well.
That was a big part of the book I just read. So I'm kind of still, processing through their recommendations and stuff. And I thought a lot of it was good because they are basing it on how Jesus lived his life. So how did he spend his time? They make the point of like, he had more distractions than anybody in this world. And he made time to pray and he made time to be doing obviously God's work. Okay. And he had distractions all the time. And sometimes he would deal with those. And sometimes he said, well, not right now. And so it's very interesting because it's all based on biblical principles. So just like you say no to people asking for stuff, like sometimes you say no to anybody that's going to interrupt your time. Like I need this 1 hour by myself, unless it's a drastic emergency. Like I'm talking about like me, like be like, hey, I'm doing my hour of work or whatever. Like I don't need to be texting you like, hey, do you want to have spaghetti for dinner? Like
but you do that.
I know, but if you're like, hey, I'm going to be doing this power hour of work,
gotcha.
Especially with me, I mean, that's not a problem.
Let me tell you, I'm in a power hour, leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. And
actually get like some deep work where you're concentrated on one thing and you're going to be way, way more productive than when you're trying to deal with, like literally you deal with like 15 things at once.
I do. Yeah,
and that's not productive for the task. It's not productive for you. So we're going to fix it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's kind of been how I've lived, though.
And it's not healthy, though.
Time managed. I've gotten through it. And sometimes you can't help it. You serve on Sundays, and we have these last minute things or changes. You don't know what's going on, so you get hit with stuff.
I would also say, though, we have control over putting ourselves in those situations. Like if we're okay with that's how it's going to be for this place that I've chosen to serve, then so be it. But I'm not going to live my life like that every day, 8 hours a day for my job. Like I would not do that.
But there are some jobs that are like that.
Yeah, I'm not taking
nurses. It. Oh, okay. I'm just saying, just because it's like that doesn't necessarily mean like it's wrong or it's like not. Because there are some environments where you can't help spontaneous things because you don't know what's going to happen. Such as, emergency response or...
But that example is like the emergency happens and that's all they're going to focus on. Like they're going to focus on that one guy that's about to die.
Okay.
They're not also trying to answer phone calls about somebody trying to make an appointment, or they're not trying to write up their notes about the guy they just sewed up. Like once that emergency happens, they're truly focused on that one emergency. Mm-hmm. Otherwise the people would die. It's that important. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
But like overall, we do have a lot of control over what we want our lives to be like. So that's what I was getting the most out of there is like feeling God be like, is this how you want to live your life? Because he's given us so many opportunities and we can decide this is how we're willing to serve him and stuff.
And
so
today I told you it's basically like really making sure I'm watching my mouth and what I'm saying, and not saying this is a lot. Oh my goodness, I got so much happening. Like really, again, not speaking the problem, but speaking the promise.
Yeah.
And I have the mind of Christ. His wisdom is at work in me. I'm anointed for this. God, His grace is enough for me. His grace is sufficient for me. His grace is sufficient in all things. I'm more than a conqueror. And speaking the promise and not the problem. And so I would encourage you, if you're listening and watching, to make sure you take authority over that and speak the promise and not the problem, because we have what we say and you are what you think, as a man thinks, so is he. So that would be that. We are going to wrap this up. I know it's a little weird today, so that's my fault. But hopefully something was said that you kind of gained something from of our conversation. This is just as we talk all the time. But episode 101, hoorah, blah. That's the title of the episode, blah.
Blah. Talking it through with your spouse, I think,
Talking it through with your boo.
is also really important. So just having the time to talk and like share your heart and where you're at, and then being on each other's team, like supporting each other and how we're working through this stuff together is really important. So
yeah, so absolutely. If you got anything, hit a smash, hit a thumbs up, hit a like, hit a subscribe, and give us a review. That's super important. We got some reviews here recently, so we appreciate each and every one of those. Thank you. It does a lot. I heard we're in the top 10% of podcasts now, so that's kind of cool. And we're moving up in some rankings. So thank you. We really appreciate it. We have been working hard. And so we've got some stuff coming. We're going to have a planner. It's not just a planner. It's more than that. That's coming up. Stay tuned. There's going to be a waitlist coming up. I don't want to give too much, but I did want to tease it just because everything that we've been talking about, we've identified in our own marriage, in our own relationship. Yeah. How do you accomplish your goals? How do you accomplish things in the midst of busy life? How do you prioritize one another? There's nothing on the market that does it. And so we created it through the gift and the wisdom of God, so His grace. And so that'll be coming late this year, and you'll have more information. Stay tuned. But before we go, we do have something you can get right now, and it is free, that we've been working for the past, month and a half. And it is a freebie, our brand new amazing freebie that does actually talk about what we just talked about today. And that is our 5 connection habits for busy couples. Did I get the title right? You did. Yay.
Yes. Good job. So yes, that's our freebie that you can download today and get started. We are going to give you 5 habits that you can do. Right. Like we were actually just talking about, things that you can do throughout the day, throughout the week. I was just, I know I interrupted you, but I was like, I do this. Because isn't one of them like touch? Or like, when you're praying, you can do yes, don't give too much away. But yes. I was thinking like when you go to sleep, because I like to mess with you when you're going to sleep. And like and I'll just like, hold your hand. And be like, yay, I did it. I'm letting her know that I'm connecting. Sorry. Yes, so we are giving you some connection habits to make sure you stay connected through this busy life that many of us are living these days. Right. So it's telling you what the habit is. There's a sample prayer that goes along with it as well. Yep. Some bonus tips, and there's even a bonus download part of it that is a habit tracker that you can get as well. So definitely check that out and let us know what you think about it. We're excited for that. 5 connection habits. It's a beautiful PDF that's all available to you. Go to oakhavencompany.com/5 habits, the number 5 habits. Or, of course, you can just look in the show notes and tap the link there. It's absolutely free, so at least get it. And I know it's going to help you because it's 5 things you can do that only will take you 5 minutes a day to do, that will let your spouse know you care, that you're still there. And, again, keep you guys connected because the world is trying to tear you apart. The enemy's trying to drift you guys apart. And it's even things that are unintentional that will move you apart if you don't be intentional. We use that word intentional
about staying on top of it. So get the freebie today. You'll be glad you did, and you will see immediate change in your life. Thanks for listening to this ramble for the past half hour. Really appreciate it. Remember to like, subscribe to the Oak Haven Company, Home to Haven, and we'll see you next week. And remember, wisdom builds the house.